If they're at the stage of calling me, I'm going to tell them to find their local crisis center, go ahead and get into detox for 7 to 10 days, do a Suboxone rapid detox, switch over to Subucade for a one-time shot, and then move on to the marijuana maintenance program, which is what we offer. Because most of the time, if they made it that far, they were already looking for us.
But it's underhanded. It's misleading, and it sounds exactly like something big pharma corporate would do to bypass, plant medicine, plant therapy.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
Hello and welcome to Joshua White for coming and being on the podcast this week.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm delighted to hang out with you. Pardon me, had a little frog in my throat. Delighted to hang out with you, and I'd love for my audience to know you and to hear and understand what you do in the cannabis industry. Will you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, sure. Well, my name is Joshua White. I'm with a group called Marijuana Maintenance Program, and what we are is an opiate and alcohol drug replacement therapy group. We operate similarly along the lines of Vivitrol or methadone or Suboxone, those type of drugs, except we suggest the use of CBD and CBN, CBG, THC, specific terpene and cannabinoid profile as a way to help people fend off the thralls of active addiction and self-harmful behavior. We have our own 12-step style meetings. We have our own literature with our own steps that are, paralleled to what the 12 steps are, but, focused on our own. We have our own MMP Thought for the Day, which is a 365-day guide to recovery that has a specific parable or thought that's associated with the point that we're on for that day. And we're campaigning, fundraising for the Transitional Rehabilitation and Placement Home Program, which is going to be our halfway house that is cannabis friendly, that utilizes the Growing Sober campaign combined with our own 12-step style recovery program to help people get back into the real world.
I just spoke with a beautiful young woman who's Cali sober and opened up a market in New Orleans,
Yes.
even though her husband owns a bar down there.
Well, in that area, that's what you
totally
have.
gone the other way.
And I actually know the young lady you're speaking of.
Oh, do you really?
Yes, I do. Yep.
She's adorable. I can't say her name. Say her name. Just had her on here. Just a sec.
She's Callie Mom and me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my mom. I don't know her actual name. Monica. That's Monica.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
She's
Monica.
on this week's episode.
Excellent. All right, well, then you're catching all of us. All of us California sober. Marijuana maintenance is along those same lines. Cali sober tends to be a little bit more open to some other forms. Plant medicines. We focus mainly on cannabis as the main maintenance medicine that we use to replace those other hard drugs. And
but this is what perked my little ears up about you was your talk about BCP.
Yes. Beta-caryophyllene is one of the most important terpenes that we've found, and is actually the only terpene that's registered as both a terpene and a cannabinoid. It actually has 2-year CB2 receptors in it. It works in a way, for me, I believe, that the same way the opioid replacement medicines work. So the same way that the MAT therapy, the buprenorphines, and the different drugs of that category are working on people. It is filling that receptor for opioids. So your brain doesn't need it. It doesn't need it filled because it's already filled. I believe that the beta-caryophyllene in combination with a few other key terpenes, and secondary sequential terpenes is what's doing that. Now, we have developed a specific formula called the MMP formula snake oil, which is very rich in specific cannabinoids and specific terpenes that I have found to work specifically for replacing the opioids and pain pills.
Wow.
I was run over by a riding lawnmower when I was 3 years old. It was the first introduction of...
Oh, honey, wait, let me just catch my breath.
It was a trial, and it's all in the book, MMP and Me, A Story of Recovery. That's all, all of that part is kind of in there to outline what actually happened. But it was a tragic accident. It was a one in a million thing, and I have done some one in a million things in my life. Actually, after that took place, that was my introduction to pain medicine. They shot me with morphine on the way to Shriners Hospital in Chicago. I was there for multiple months in ICU and being given morphine regularly. And so that was the initiation of my opioid addiction right then and there. And then, when I left, they basically just took me off of it cold turkey. There was no protocol for...
Oh my God.
Removing somebody off of daily morphine at that point. So,
and you were a baby. So my first memory is that accident, then the drugs, and then being taken off of them, and that feeling as well. So my fight with the opioid epidemic started long before I knew what it was doing to me. Right. So my body recorded all of this information. I had no idea. Later in life, when I was 13, I had a stick of dynamite explode in my face, 24 inches away from my face. I lost my left eye. Another one in a million thing to have happened to a human, it happened to me. So at that point, they gave me Percocet from the hospital. And the moment I took one of those pills, it just reignited that opioid feeling, that feeling that I had stored from being very young. And that triggered a long-term pattern of addiction. And, right.
And unfortunately,
body memory.
Yes. And the truth of it is that it's kind of relative proof that addiction is a triggered allergy. The allergy of addiction, where once it's triggered, it is almost impossible to stop using. That concept that Bill W. really came up with, which was the founder of AA, had this idea that was the case. And
the founder of AA?
Yeah.
Didn't he do all of that based off of his, what was it? His trip on, it wasn't cannabis, it was like LSD or something, wasn't it?
That was actually much later for him. He originally used belladonna. Was the light term hallucinogenic that he used at the beginning as he was developing the spiritual awakening, as they call it. And he then later in life, in mid-70s, with Timothy Leary, did the Timothy Leary LSD experiments.
Yeah.
Which he marked with Carl Jung, having stated that he believed that LSD could produce the spiritual awakening necessary for long-term recovery, which is a big part of the AA readings and writings, is this spiritual awakening aspect. Okay.
Just seems to take such a tiny, microscopic, unmeasurable portion of space to create an epiphany for somebody that's going to change their world.
Yeah, honey knows.
Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit. in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants, and one of those turned out to be beta caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked. It has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world, as a matter of fact. It has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
Just seems to take such a tiny, microscopic, unmeasurable portion of space to create an epiphany for somebody that's going to change their world.
And so many people around them. The concept of 12-step recovery and group therapy style recovery, where one person is helping the next person that helps the next person, and that locking you into this system of having it and giving it to the next person. And I've definitely incorporated that part into MMP. We have our own recovery writings called the 7 points of recovery. The 7 points are very parallel to what Bill W. and Dr. Bob used to write the 12 steps. So the 7 points of recovery, which the 7 points of recovery are very parallel to the 12 steps that were written by Bill W. and Dr. Bob. When those guys wrote the 12 steps, they utilized the 6 principles of the Oxford group, which the Oxford group was at that point a Catholic it was a religious organization. It was a religious Christian organization that used the 6 principles. Well, the 6 principles, when I studied what the Oxford group used to find the 6 principles, they utilized the eightfold pathway of the Buddhist monks and the Buddhist German monastery. So as I studied all of those, which I was actually studying the eightfold path when I came to this realization that all of these things were tied together. Okay, so the eightfold path just is basically the Buddhist pathway to self-mastery. And they teach that through occupying or finding the 14 virtues within yourself. And those 14 virtues, range from all types of stuff, from patience, which obviously we all know is a virtue. And unfortunately, hurry up is not on that list. Hurry up is not one of the virtues. I always wished it was. But there's a large group of virtues that if you attain these virtues, you can attain self-mastery, and which is what the 12 steps were teaching. It is what the 6 principles of the Oxford group was teaching, and it's what the eightfold pathway of the Buddhist monks are teaching. Also happens to be what the 7 points of recovery revolve around, and what we're teaching as well. So we've developed this program that utilizes cannabis and cultivation of cannabis, specifically the actual act of growing, as a metaphor to life and a metaphor to recovery. So follow along to any of my readings. I do a daily recovery reading every morning on multiple platforms. And
I'd love to hear.
I do it every day, and have done so since 2022. When I started, I was actually reading other people's writings. I was reading things like The Language of Letting Go and Just for Today, and I was utilizing their readings as a platform to draw people in, to let them know that just because I had a cannabis plant sitting in the background, I was still talking about recovery. So it was just, at the time, it was just a way for me to show Facebook that I wasn't just some guy growing pot, that we were a recovery group. So I started doing those readings, and then I paid to have them advertised. because those readings were something that Facebook could allow on their platform at that time.
I'm shocked.
So it was just
I
it was
guess
a way to get
it
in.
was somebody else's reading, and not about cannabis.
Yeah, well, it was about recovery, just solely about
Right. Okay.
and then so we developed it. As the time went on, I read their readings. I kind of stopped reading their readings. 23 and 24, I was changing and altering the words and some of the things they had written so that it would more go along with our group and what we were doing, obviously.
Yeah.
And I wanted something cannabis centric. I wanted something that was for us as a group. And so I began to write the MMP Thought for the Day, which was a culmination of cultivation metaphors, the eightfold pathway of self-mastery, the 14 virtues, and the 7 points of recovery, all culminated into a daily recovery reading. So
this is incredible. Do you have a course?
The course itself is called the MMP, the Big Green Book, which parallels the AA's Big Blue Book. They call their text the Big Blue Book.
I see.
And so we have the MMP Big Green Book, which is our text. It is my story combined with the 7 points of recovery and how I came about those, how I developed them through understanding the Eightfold Path and all of that. And it's all incorporated into a book that ends with MMP and Me, the Stories of Recovery, which are my story and several other members of the group who have, volunteered their story of how they found MMP and how they found recovery, through cannabis as a tool for recovery.
Do you know Courage in Cannabis? That group? Okay, great. Because
I do know Rick Antis. I was just actually hanging out with Michigan Weedsters, Rick Antis, and those guys last week while we were down in Missouri. We all kind of culminated for Waxy Brown's memoriam service for him that they had at Doobie's Lounge in Missouri. So we all got to hang out for that, which was really awesome.
I heard that was going on. I'm so tickled. Tell us about it. But I just want to say, hey, Rick, love you, and everybody else in the Courage in Cannabis tribe. It's a big book of amazing stories that people have triumphed from real tragedy through the use of cannabis.
Yes.
And so same thing with your amazing program. Gosh, I would love to just order one of your workbooks and have it here at home for me. It just sounds amazing. I listen to a guy named Panache Desai every single frickin' morning and have for the past almost 5 years or more. He started doing this in 2019 when COVID hit. So, there it is. So, and you sound so reminiscent to me of the things that he also fills my head with. We speak in this circle about thought discipline and how we can obtain it. What can give us the tolerance to settle ourselves down long enough to figure out how to have thought discipline when our systems and our psyches are so full of chaos and trauma that we're trying to get past both emotionally and physically. It's just so hard to. I love
being bombarded at all times in all directions from all of the frequencies and energies that are constantly being pushed onto us from every direction. And not that it's all negative, it's so much at all times.
A lot of it is negative, though. We live in such an aggressive world and such a competitive world that it's traumatizing to all of us. So how can we get your workbook and how can we get, involved in your program?
Well, everything that you can find about me, you're going to find on our Facebook, which we've actually just reached 4,000 direct members for the MMP itself. Marijuana Maintenance Program now has 4,000 members nationwide. We have members in 7 other countries. So it's amazing. It's an amazing thing. Everything you can find about me is at www.marijuanamaintenanceprogram.com. And through the website, on the first page, it gives you access to the Facebook page. Up until this year, unfortunately, Mark Zuckerberg had made a decision that the word marijuana, if searched on in the search bar, would automatically take a person to their closest local traditional recovery service and ask them if they have a problem with cannabis. And so up until this year, if somebody typed in marijuana maintenance program, it would take them to whatever their local rehab was, which is fine for my purposes, because that's generally what I'm going to suggest somebody to do. If they're at the stage of calling me, I'm going to tell them to find their local crisis center, go ahead and get into detox for 7 to 10 days, do a Suboxone rapid detox, switch over to Subucade for a one-time shot, and then move on to the marijuana maintenance program, which is what we offer. We offer our version of recovery.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't an issue that they did that technically. And people still had our contact because most of the time, if they made it that far, they were already looking for us,
But it's underhanded. It's misleading, and it sounds exactly like something big pharma corporate bastards would do to bypass, plant medicine, plant therapy.
Luckily, we've changed that. We've done enough campaigning against this practice that they've come around to the fact that we can offer a legitimate service as well. So now if you type in marijuana maintenance, all of my readings are the first thing that pops up. So that gives you the ability to click on that tagged portion and find us that way.
So can we find you on Facebook too?
You can find us on Facebook. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Well, I just love what you're doing. And I feel like I'm part of the holistic movement to uplift our society as well. I work in the feminine arena because that just allows me to be all the emotional package that I really am and, not have to apologize for it. So it's fun to help other women understand how to use this plant safely and effectively in full control of it. So you don't have to worry about the woozy or getting high if you don't want to.
The plant is a natural feminine energy.
It is.
The parts that we use, the parts we actually utilize, that part of the plant is a natural feminine energy. It's a nurturing, empathic energy that you receive from cannabis.
Yeah.
So, that's a really clear pathway to walk when you're helping women understand that it is a product that is going to help them on so many levels. Tolerance.
God, let me have tolerance for around me all day long,
True story. True story. Yeah, true story. And speaking of tolerance, if you do have tolerance issues with your cannabis use, we always suggest the use of a pure CBGA. If you can get your hands onto a pure CBGA oil or
that's cannabigerol in the acidic form.
Yes.
Your audience. And so it has a lot of valuable medicinal effects for you. CBG, the mother of all.
One of the big ones is it resets your ECS. So when you have something that will reset your ECS, your endocannabinoid system, the CB1 and CB2 receptors are cleared out, and you're able to fill those then with the actual cannabinoids that are working for your body, that do the best for you, and you can do it with a lot less of it. You can cut your daily rituals in half just by using a CBGA early in the morning. So
I love talking about Dr. Ethan Russo and his hypothesis about the endocannabinoid system deficiency, because we have been robbed of the use of cannabis in our food system for the past 100 years. And then now we have all this ADD and Parkinson's and tumors and autism and epilepsy and seizures and all this stuff that we're battling, 10 times more of. And if they would just begin allowing the consumption of cannabinoids again on a full-time scale, then our bodies would not be so sugar-oriented, alcohol-oriented, drug-oriented as they have been fed to believe for the past 100 years. Those compounds that are in cannabis, they are unique to the plant and to humans, and every single one of them have medicinal values. And the terpenes, especially the one that we mentioned in the beginning of this program, beta-caryophyllene, is a master exit compound.
Yes.
And so, do you know Dr. Philip Blair, my friend, who has Blair Medical Group?
We are friends. Yes, I do.
Love his work. I take his product every single day. I grow my own weed at home and use it, but I need this to quell my anxiety. And it's not even, it's listed as a cannabinoid-like compound. It's really a terpene, but it acts like a cannabinoid. And that's unique about beta-caryophyllene.
And it is the most unique part of it is the fact that it is actually considered both a terpene and the cannabinoid. So because of that fact, it is interacting with those receptors, and it can help reset the opioid system the same way some new treatments like Ibogaine are doing to reset that. This is doing the same thing, but doing it with a terpene, doing it with a simple terpene, and no psychedelic experience necessary. That is incredible to me. It's absolutely incredible. And then you step further past the BCP, and you actually get into some of these other terpenes that are sequential terpenes, where they're secondary to the originals, and those are just as important. Sometimes can be even more important. I mean, it's an incredible leap forward that we're about to take in personal medicine, because that is the other part of what we do here at Marijuana Maintenance Program. I have White Glove Seed and Clone Company is the genetics company that came about because of Marijuana Maintenance Program. And more or less what it boiled down to is I had a couple strains that I had crossed for myself that I found particularly good at replacing opioids when I turned them into medicine for tinctures or food or whatever. They worked really well. I shared those with a few people, just the actual smoke from it, and people were like, I want that. Yeah. So it went from something I just had made just for myself to I was in sharing with other people. Well, as the years progressed on, I did more and more breeding work, as one does. We did a lot of certificates of analysis that we would get done through Manitou Analytical and Consulting, which is a great company who's able to give you an actual breakdown of all of your terpenes that are in whatever strain you send them. So throughout the course of a year, I tested around a dozen strains, finding the best ones out of that worked the best for me and a lot of other people for the replacement side of it. That they were saying, well, this strain combined with this strain works really well to replace for this specific drug. I did a lot of keeping track of that to move alleles forward for terpene alleles. So moving the alleles forward in a cannabis plant is kind of difficult, but moving terpene alleles forward is pretty easy. You're just combining terpene profiles, and it moves those terpenes forward. Other alleles are more difficult to combine, but the terpene combination is pretty easy. So White Glove Seed and Clone Company is the person or company who provides the seeds for the Growing Sober campaign. The Growing Sober campaign is where we provide cheap or free genetics to people who are newly in recovery, so that they can grow their own cannabis as their own medicine. That specific initiative and program is going to roll into the Transitional Rehabilitation and Placement Home Program, which is our halfway house that's cannabis friendly, as we mentioned before. We're going to be able to get people in a detox. When they come out of detox, they come into the halfway house. They get their medical card where they're able to grow their own plants. We provide them the plants through the Growing Sober campaign. The people that are already there in the program teach the new people how to grow. While they're teaching them how to grow, they provide the cannabis oil that they have made for themselves while they were in the program They provide that to the next person who's coming through the door. And that keeps it a self-feeding system of people in recovery, bringing new people into recovery, teaching them a valuable skill. In this state of Illinois, we're teaching them how to grow cannabis, the best cannabis in the world. My genetics have won 4 awards so far across the last couple years. And my strain Charlie's Ticket is currently sitting in second place in the national terpene contest for Manitoba Analytical. It wrote in at 3.37% terpenes, which is
that's large.
It's off the charts. And I've had 4 strains that were over 3% terpenes. So White Glove Seed has done a great job in helping to fund all of the initiatives that Marijuana Maintenance Program is. Pretty much, I have donated almost everything that has created MMP to be what it is up to this point. But we're at a point now where we're beginning to look for other ways to get ourselves bigger and actually do some of these other initiatives like the Transitional Rehabilitation and Placement Home Program. So next month in August 24th, we're going to have the MMP Classic, which the MMP Classic is a classic 4-man golf scramble. And it's going to have a full vendor event there at the actual scramble itself. So it'll be a big golf tournament taking place at the Oak Valley Resort and Golf Course down in Peebly, Missouri. So it is an actual golf resort. So we're going to have this giant cannabis event where we're going to have open consumption, having a great time. We're going to have tons of some of the best edibles companies in the world. We've got award-winning edibles from places like Purple Haze, Infusions. We've got other companies coming in from all over the country to help, supply great things for people to be able to try out while they're at this venue. The actual venue itself has a full-size water park on site. So that's a really cool thing. It's got 2 full-size lakes for fishing and stuff. So a person can come, enjoy themselves for the whole day, whole weekend if they want to. And anybody who's, interested in something like that, obviously I'll come back and put links into, the episode when it airs. They'll have links and everything where they can link up to that. So.
Okay. So I got questions.
Shoot.
So my family, I'm going to bring my family down there, and I want to bring my family there and do the thing and do the water park and all the thing. But I want to go smoke some pot with all those potheads over there.
Yes, ma'am.
How does that work?
The water park, when you come in, when you pull off the main road, the water park is the first entrance to your right. The golf course, you have to go all the way about a quarter mile around the bend to get back up to the golf course where the actual clubhouse is. Okay. And the event venue is straightforward up a hill about a quarter mile to get to the actual event venue where the cannabis consumers will be. So you have to pass through a gate for the consumption event.
21 only.
21 and only for the consumption event, but you can still be at the other parts of the park. And, the water park is an open water park to the public. So there's 3 separate entrances for that. So we have no problem having, hosting whole families. There is an RV park on site. Yeah. RV park at the event, on the event center. They have their own RV park, which overlooks the Mississippi River.
Can I bring my puppies?
I do believe you can bring your puppies to the park.
Yay! Okay. All right, I'm coming.
Oh yes, I love to hear that. So, and if you do decide to, there is a Super 8 that is located 1 block away from the event. Okay. We are all staying in that same Super 8. If you tell them I'm calling to reserve for the MMP event, you'll get a discount. It's normally $120 or whatever per night because it's just 15 minutes south of St. Louis where the actual event is taking place. Okay. 15 minutes outside the South Loop of St. Louis. So I'm
going to try to swing that. I really am. I'm going to try to swing that.
I would love that.
When is it?
This is August 24th. So it's a Sunday, August 24th.
How fun.
And it'll be a great time. And for anybody who wants to come and actually play golf, it's $100 per player to be involved in the charity golf outing. But the best part about a 4-man scramble is you can absolutely suck at golf, which is great for me because I've never swung a club ever, not once in my life. But you can completely not be any good at golf and be fine as long as you have one person on your team that's good, because the way it works is everybody goes up and they hits their ball, and everybody goes and picks up their ball, and you go to the best player's ball. And that's where you shoot from.
Oh, fun!
The best player's ball. So you can, be really bad and not be any good at golf and still get to be involved and still play.
I love those rules.
The actual playing part comes with a catered-in dinner afterwards. So we'll have a big catered-in dinner inside of this beautiful giant banquet-style hall. So it'll definitely be a great time. I'll put it to you that way. And this event, it's our first annual. It's already set up to be relatively big already, but it's going to be one of them that's going to be helping us to really truly raise the funds necessary to take some of these initiatives from initiatives to actual programs taking place and saving lives. So people that are involved in this or becoming involved in this or that get involved in this either as a player or a sponsor or as a vendor, they're literally saving lives. You are literally setting up this program to be able to save lives in the future. So it's something people can get behind and be okay with.
Okay. Did you say August 24th?
August 24th.
Okay. I'm going to try to get this episode out before then.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yes. Okay. All right. Great. Oh, you make me want to come down to the Midwest. I mean, I know I'm in the Midwest in Michigan. I think somebody said I am still, but I'm a Tulsa girl. I'm really an Okie.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so I'll be figuring out some way I can get a van full of puppies to come down and hang out with y'all, because in my head, who else is doing consumption events down there?
Well, in Missouri is probably one of the best events epicenters in the country for cannabis. They're one of the only places that allows indoor consumption events at all. And they allow actual literal indoor consumption events, both through Mocana Fest, Canna Gala, which is at the Regalia Hotel, which is a humongous conference center on Lake Ozark. And we have indoor consumption at those every time. So it's down there's a really great place. We're in central Illinois, so it's a 3.5 hour ride for us to get from here to the event center that we're going to have ours at. But it's central. I mean, St. Louis is the center of everything.
Yeah.
If you pull out a map and look at it, pretty much if you're anywhere, it's the closest place to getting to the center of it as you're going to get. So we're hoping that we can really draw on a ton of people and get some really great participation. We do have a spectators waiver, so anybody that wants to come and just watch the tournament or be part of the vendors' court or whatnot, that's fully doable as well. So you don't have to be a golfer to attend. You don't have to be a vendor to attend. We're hoping to get some people out there for the cameras and really show off this event. So
I can't wait until we can hook up and get together and have some fun. I've never experienced a real live consumption shindig before, other than the parties I've thrown. And so I would love to be able to go out and socialize and use cannabis both recreationally and as I use it as my medicine to quell these arthritic hands.
Absolutely.
Quell my anxiety and, anything else I want to do with it. I want to be in control of my own self. And cannabis allows me to have that control. So especially when you know, the alchemy.
Yep.
And the alchemy of cannabis is as easy as putting butter and syrup on pancakes.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love me some butter and syrup. So
I do. Woo, 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 woo. All right, honey. Well, it sure has been fun hanging out with you. I so appreciate your time and the service that you have created to so many people. This feels like what we've been needing from the AA era.
Yes.
I had a guest come on the podcast who recovered from her alcoholism And then she was still in recovery when she found that cannabis was helping her exit all of that so much easier and faster. And she felt like she couldn't tell anybody in her circle about it because cannabis was on the AA no-no list. And she came on as my first and so far only anonymous guest speaker, and told the story about how she carried some guilt and for, not abiding the rules. She carried guilt because she was being secretive about it. She carried guilt because her husband was in the same program and she was hiding that from him. And, it just makes sense to use a plant that can help you exit the laboratory created drugs that have so hurt us. And
the traditional recovery programs all talk about the fact that rigorous honesty is expected and necessary for full-term recovery. And it is very difficult to walk into a room where you're utilizing cannabis as a medicine and you are not telling anyone that because you don't want the ridicule that comes along with cannabis stigma, using it as medicine versus any other pill that a doctor would give me. No one would blink an eye if I were popping a Xanax on my way into the meeting. They'd be like, oh, we want to make sure you don't have anxiety. Go do what you got to do. But because my anxiety medicine is a plant, it is just ridiculed and very stigmatized. The word marijuana maintenance program, and the reason my group is called marijuana maintenance program, when I was 12 years old, the first time they put me into AA, they found me in the backyard, passed out with blood coming out of my nose because I had gotten into moonshine. And I went to AA. They told me walking through the door, I sat down, first time ever there. The old fellas there said, we can smell that you're on the marijuana maintenance. We'll sign your paper and you can leave. You're not getting any of this anyway. You're not catching any of this anyway. And they signed my paper for probation and let me leave. They signed all days, all of them, all at once, so that I didn't come back. And unfortunately, that caused another 10 years of full-blown addiction before I tried finding recovery again on my own. I was 22, 23 years old by the time I tried again.
Oh my goodness.
I came back to AA again. I was white knuckling it, as they call it. I was just not doing anything, using complete full abstinence and allowing my pain to just be pain. And I said, pain is weakness leaving the body. And I used all of the mindsets I could to try to not use drugs. And ultimately what it culminated to was I relapsed on pain pills that I got from the doctor, which led me back to using cannabis. And the funny part is I didn't stop going to AA when I started popping Oxycontin. I kept going to AA and they were fine with me nodding out at the meetings, sitting there literally nodding out at the meetings. The night that I started smoking cannabis, they stopped me from coming to the meeting that night. And it was like, okay, this is just not for me. Recovery's not for me. So out another decade I went, a whole another decade of not having recovery and being in the midst of a full-blown relapse, all because I was going to have to use some form of medicine. And I was, period. I didn't have a choice. I was going to use some kind of medicine because my foot was going to dictate that if I wanted to walk from here to the door and back, I was going to use some kind of medicine. And unfortunately, the traditional recovery circles see this specific medicine as just a drug with no benefit of any kind. And as such, they keep us out of it. And
so is that changing, honey? I mean, are they owning up to their own stupidity, please?
Here's the thing. There are some people that absolutely need 100% abstinence to remain in recovery.
That's fine.
For those people, the word sober is extremely important because they put all of their effort to remain that word. That word means to them that you don't take any drugs, any alcohol, you don't put anything in your system that isn't already there or given to you by a doctor. So that word,
black and white.
That word sober is very important to them. Let them keep it as far as I'm concerned. I know a whole lot of sober people that are absolutely miserable, that they've never done anything to make any effort to change themselves or their life. And so they are just as unhappy as a sober individual as they were as a belligerent individual. So for me, I describe myself as in recovery. I no longer use the word sober just because I'm not really sober. I'm on marijuana maintenance. I get high every single day. I don't let it destroy my life. I don't let it become an obsession of the mind to a point that I don't do anything else. I run 2 full businesses. I run 22 apartments in an apartment complex, and I do cannabis, and I run a nonprofit organization.
So are you really getting high? I mean, you're obviously a common user, and so I don't get high anymore. I get relief.
I would have to say now, 30 plus years into this, I don't know. There are times I still get high. It depends on
me too. Sometimes
it depends on my intention. A lot of times it depends on my intention. I set intentions specifically for the use of my cannabis. When I take my MMP formula, the snake oil tincture that I have created for the purpose of replacing my pain pills. Yeah. When I take it, it is simply for replacing my pain pills. I don't get up and walk over to that bottle at 8 a.m. and just take a shot of it because I want to feel something. If I want that, I can smoke a hitter or light a doobie or whatever.
Ditto.
That is for when I have pain
relief.
Period. And I don't do it any other time. Right. I also tend to steer clear of dabs because they are a very concentrated form of cannabis, and I feel that they are probably along the same lines as tincture. So I just don't do them. I'm either smoking a little flower, or if I'm in pain,
me too,
I take my tincture. So
me too.
I don't know. And as far as the traditional recovery, are they coming around to it? I think they are. I think that there's enough people with the mindset of medically assisted treatment. Mat therapy is common everywhere now. There are so many people that are on methadone and Suboxone and all of these different drugs that they kind of have to accept that it is a form of recovery.
Yeah.
So I think it's coming around. I think the more that we are in spaces like this, where we're being placed in front of larger groups of people that can see what we're doing and see that we're not just sitting around smoking pot in some dingy corner somewhere. We are having full-blown recovery meetings. We are discussing literature the same way that they discuss in any traditional recovery setting. We have PHP set up where just like any traditional recovery.
All right. Well, it's been so much fun chatting with you. I'm not kidding. I feel like we're siblings in the industry, and I love seeing your heart-centered work and knowing that you are taking a great idea from an old generation into the future with broadening its philosophies, because that's what you're doing, in my opinion. You're taking AA and turning it into something that's more realistic for us now as a society.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. I'm so proud for you and so proud of you. I just want to thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. We appreciate you helping to put us out in front of the world. Thank you.
My pleasure. Will you come back anytime and chat with us and got something new to say?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, you take care, and thank you again.
Thank you.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.
A quick shout out to Nathan Pierce and Daniel Rome of the 406 Budcast and their brilliant tech goddesses who created what you're about to hear next.
She walked in with wisdom and a fire in her eyes, talking plant truth where the silence lies. From the roots to the bloom, she saw the light. Now she's teaching folks how to heal it right. Not afraid to challenge the tale of lazy myths in a system that failed. She's got science in one hand, stories in the other. Lifts up the voices they tried to smother. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the soil and love in the smoke. Speaking for the elders and the ones left behind. She's the shaman of the leaf with a warrior's mind. Yeah, honey knows how the healing flows. From Florida sun to digital waves, she's breaking down fear with every word she says. Cannabis truth, that's her battle cry. For the mamas and papas still scared to try. She ain't selling hype, she's serving facts. Taking big pharma to school with class. With a mic and a mission, she lights the way for the lost and the curious every day. Honey knows, honey grows. Truth in the bud and peace in the dose. Teaching the plant like a sacred art. From the ECS to the beating heart. Yeah, honey knows. Honey healing flows. She's been burned by the system, lifted by the plant, giving voice to the ones who thought they can. A sister, a sage in a world full of smoke.